The most hyped foldables this year are Apple's iPhone Ultra and Samsung's Wide Fold 8. Both are set to cost around $2,000, include no telephoto camera, and look like they were designed by someone's cat knocking the mouse in Photoshop. As someone who's used foldables on and off for many years, the appeal of both is a bit of a mystery to me, because I thought we already spent the past 7 years figuring out the ideal form factor for a fold. It's the same shape as a phone when it's shut, and when it's open you can easily use 2 or more apps at once. And I've spent the past 4 months using the global version of the Honor Magic V6, which is the ultimate refinement of the classic tall style foldable. It demonstrates that foldable phones have reached the point where there aren't really any major compromises compared to a slab phone, just as both Apple and Samsung seem poised to launch foldables that are more compromised, not less. For my money, it's the best foldable you can buy right now, at least currently as I'm sitting here in late June 2026. And based on what we're seeing from Apple and Samsung's efforts, I would probably choose this over either of the major competitors. So let's dig into my main takeaways from the past 4 months using this phone as it's finally ready to go on sale. Most of the time with a foldable, it's all about what you can do with the flexible inner screen. But if you're upgrading from any previous Honor foldable or just any smartphone generally that's more than a couple of years old, the biggest upgrade you might notice is actually on the outside with the cover screen. As well as a 2000 nit peak brightness level and slimmer bezels than the previous generation, the V6 packs an impressive reflection-cancelling coating that's every bit as great as the one Samsung's been using for a few generations now in its Ultra phones. That's the first of a few no-compromises features in this phone, the same ultra-high brightness and crystal-clear daylight visibility that you would get with a top-tier slab phone. The inner screen is almost as impressive too, slightly lower peak brightness rates than the cover display, but also benefits from that reflection-cancelling treatment that means even with a few inevitable finger smudges, you can still use it out and about as a giant viewfinder or a miniature tablet. Despite the slimmer borders on the outside, there's no reduction in screen bezels for the inner display, but this does seem to be pretty much a universal thing with foldables and does at least help with grip when you're opening and closing. The second major trade-off you usually get with foldables is battery capacity. Samsung's Fold 8 Ultra is rumored to finally be getting a battery upgrade this year, but the current Fold 7 is stuck with an anemic 4400 mAh cell, which, even with all the optimization in the world, can only go so far on a foldable with a large inner screen. The hydrogen bomb to Samsung's coughing baby in this case is this thing right here, with a 6600 mAh cell. Honor's push into silicon-carbon batteries is into its 4th year, with capacities and charging speeds climbing along the way, so now you have a foldable roughly the same thickness as a slab phone, with a larger battery than most of them out there in the West. Durability is another one. Now, foldables are always going to be more fragile than slab phones, that's unavoidable. But the Magic V6 does add a bit of extra peace of mind with IP68 and IP69 rating for water and dust resistance. I've used it out in the rain plenty of times as well as shooting this splash test for you to see here, and it survived just as well as any flat phone. This phone has also taken a couple of short tumbles onto a wooden floor in my 4 months with it, and it suffered no ill effects from that. Obviously, not dropping it is the move with any expensive foldable, especially when it's unfolded, but yeah, otherwise no durability concerns for me whatsoever. Aside from the battery, the spec sheet reads like any high-spec Android phone, with a leading Snapdragon chip, 16 gigs of RAM and 512 storage in the model I'm using. In a RAM crisis, it's reassuring to see 16 and not 12 in the base model, but I guess the other side of that equation is the price, which we'll get to a little later in this video. Some benchmark scores are somewhat lower than a Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 running in a traditional non-folding handset, but those are benchmarks and you'll likely only notice the difference if you're playing very demanding games for extended sessions. So for me, it's not a big deal, and day-to-day performance in regular apps, even in multitasking, is as flawless as any other phone with this chip. Let's talk about the design, weight, and heft of the Magic V6. The hand feel is somewhat similar to the past couple of generations, and in fact, the trim of the hinge on my device is identical to the previous Magic V5. And although Honor has shaved an additional 1/10 of a millimeter off the thickness compared to the V5, the feel remains pretty much the same, which is to say very lightweight and very slim even when it's folded shut. What is a little different though is the texture around the back panel here. It's a super matte shimmery pattern that I've heard described as a little bit like wallpaper, It's definitely super grippy and almost has the look of a Chinese red envelope. But if it's not your style, there are other more run-of-the-mill polycarbonate alternative colors to choose from. And the centerpiece camera crater here still sticks out a fair bit from the surface of the phone, but it's nowhere near as protuberant as earlier models, even with basically the same camera hardware inside. Compare it to basically any flagship flat phone, and this kind of camera bump really, I don't think is a huge deal. The hinge is also in perfect working order after 4 months of use, no creaking or breakage there. Although it's not really noticeable when you're using it normally, you can definitely see a bit of a crease off-axis, and it's arguably not as invisible as the crease in Oppo's Find N6, but that's a phone that you'll need to import unless you live in Asia, Australia, or New Zealand. It's not getting a wider Western release than that. I think it's easy to overstate the importance of a completely invisible crease in a fold, especially when that's probably going to change over the course of a few months or years with a device anyway. A great foldable is nothing without software that actually helps you use the inner screen and hinge display, and the biggest difference in Honor's software this year is probably the change to the taskbar down below, giving you the option to make it a persistent addition to the UI, so you don't need to always swipe up to see it. Basically, this makes it function more like the taskbar on a Samsung or Google foldable, which honestly I think is just the right way to do this feature. That taskbar gives you access to an excellent multitasking system that builds on what Honor developed for the V5 last year, which it calls Multiflex. The quick layout button lets you quickly tap into a split screen view with 2 or 3 apps. And once you're in this split screen view, you can easily hop between these windows and resize them, so they're either in a phone-shaped slice or a more full-screen tablet-sized view. There's also a triple app layout that gives you 2 full-sized apps alongside a peek of a third app, which you can then use to bounce your viewport around between them. It's a great way to balance fast task switching with being able to take advantage of the entire area of the display. And reordering your apps or turning them into windowed versions is also simple via this control area up at the top here. That's all in addition to a windowed multitasking mode accessible via either swiping down on a full screen app or using this shortcut toolbar. Elsewhere, Honor's Magic OS follows the same template as many other Chinese manufacturers these days, with a very iOS-influenced design language that incorporates some liquid glass elements, especially in the quick settings and on the lock screen. And the inevitable suite of AI features is also present, including call translation and a way to summon Google Gemini by wiggling the phone's hinge. Not sure that's maybe the best thing for durability there. Also plenty of AI photo editing features like outpainting and object erasure that we've seen before based on the same Google technology used on Pixel and Galaxy phones. The one AI feature I might have actually found useful though is notification summaries. Kinda weird to see that one missing when it is a tentpole feature on Pixels and iPhones. Software support though is a win for Honor, as it's recently announced that the Magic V6 will get 7 years of OS and security updates, taking it through to Android 23 in 2033, on par with the phones Samsung's going to be launching later this summer. Camera performance is often the first thing to be traded away in a foldable, where every millimeter of thickness and gram of weight really matters much more than a standard flat smartphone. The Honor Magic V6's triple camera system, though, while not quite being the same league as the very best slab phone cameras, puts in a really solid performance across the board. The hardware is mostly the same as what we saw in the V5, 50MP main and ultra-wide shooters, and a 64MP 3x periscope setup, only now with the addition of better stabilization, the same CIPA 6.5 stabilizer from the Magic 8 Pro. That new stabilization is something you can actually see in this footage recorded at a walking pace outside. We'll drop some more example footage a little later on. The lack of other spec sheet improvements to the camera system might seem disappointing, but remember, Honor has seriously cut down on the space taken up by that camera bulge, which, given the choice between upgrading the camera hardware and making it less thick, I think probably they made the correct decision there. It can still take photos that are absolutely competitive with high-end slab phones though. Colors have a bit of extra punch to them compared to images that you take from an S26 or an iPhone, but otherwise you're getting images that absolutely can stand up to, and perhaps in some cases beat, photos that you get out of a device like the OnePlus 15 or S26 Plus. Zoom performance and night photography are two areas where you typically expect to start hitting a bit of a technical wall compared to your typical ultra camera phone, and in this area Honor has deployed AI to sharpen things up, bring out those details and clarify those twilight pictures. The AI effects, which once again are cloud-based, seem to have been toned down a little from the first couple generations in the Magic 7 and Magic 8 Pro, and in extreme edge cases you're gonna start to see some weirdness, like this example at around 50 times, but mostly this optional feature is a helpful addition that can help you bump up that image quality that you get from these rear cameras. It's certainly a far cry from the first few generations of foldable phones and should have an edge over whatever dual camera systems Apple and Samsung include in their wider foldables. So I'll drop a few more video samples here and then we'll wrap things up. It's pretty wild to see just how great foldable tech has become in a relatively short space of time. As recently as 2022, you'd still pay top dollar for bulky designs with lousy battery life that sometimes didn't even fold fully flat. The Honor Magic V6 is, for me, the best foldable phone you can currently buy in the West, and it's likely to put a very strong fight up against the coming wave of Apple and Samsung foldables too. It proves that the traditional double-panel foldable design that we've arrived at over the past 7 generations of iteration and competition is the way it is for a good reason. This shape allows for a design that's indistinguishable from a slab phone when it's used as one, with an uncompromised multitasking experience in the inner screen when you need it. And all without compromising on things like camera and battery life either. Compare the 6600 mAh of this to the wide Fold 8's expected battery capacity of just 4800 mAh, and the twin camera array expected in both that model and Apple's iPhone Ultra. And those phones both promise a chassis design that looks like being a nightmare to use with one hand if recently produced comparisons based on CAD specs are to be believed. Now, this thing is not cheap. We don't know the euro price just yet, but prices in Malaysia would suggest it to be hitting the market around the $2,000 equivalent mark. But then we are in the midst of a computer component price crisis, and $2,000 is increasingly common for foldables in 2026. So if you handed me a pair of Grover Clevelands and asked me which foldable phone I'd spend it on, given how great it is as a phone and a foldable and a camera, I'd probably have to choose the Magic V6 and would pass on the Samsung and iPhone foldable alternatives. But that's just me. Let me know what you think of the Magic V6 and the other big name foldables we're expecting to see between now and the end of the year. Stick around and subscribe for more comparisons coming very soon. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.